And rain, the story in the country today. Krissy Vann joining you. It is time for the system showdown. We're going to start off in the west, where we do have the potential of seeing some inland showers moving in overnight from Prince George through to Revelstoke. The potential of some thunderstorms popping up. And we are going to see some gustier winds along with the system as well. So exceeding 40 kilometers per hour. Bad news for those battling wildfires. Alrighty, we have this low in the Northwest Territories, a surface low developing, and that becomes Alberta's story as we travel into the weekend. So really overnight tonight, we start to see the rain pushing in, those blues there. Cold enough for high elevation snowfall, and you'll see this low continues its track late Friday into Saturday for Saskatchewan. Now into Friday, the heaviest rainfall is going to be just west between Calgary and Red Deer, where we could see 30 to 45 millimeters. So a bit of a soaking of a system. Just be careful if you're traveling on the roads. You saw what happened there in force of nature. When we look into the prairies, we do have a risk of non-severe storms developing just along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border today. And as you saw, unfortunately, an unsettled weekend ahead. The big story we're following is this Colorado low. This is a very fall-like system and moisture-laden. Imagine all that moisture you've been feeling in the atmosphere being wrung out and raining down. Well, that's what we're dealing with. We've already seen special weather statements put in place for the rainfall. And the problem is going to be where we see these isolated severe pockets that could develop. We could have training storms. So in those zones, we could see 50 millimeters or more, making flash flooding a concern. Otherwise, we're looking at a general widespread 15 to 30 millimeters of rain. For you in Quebec, I know you already saw significant rainfall this week. Luckily, it's really just the heat and humidity for you. The system isn't going to become your story so much. It's going to kind of lose a bit of steam on the way. However, into Atlantic Canada on Friday, with the muggy conditions, we still have the potential of some thunderstorms popping up for you. And we're going to continue to see that heat rise. Can you believe it? Labrador is actually looking at a special weather statement due to the humidex values nearing the 30s. All right. Coming up at 13 past the hour, it will be time for Share Your Weather. We will join Nicole Karkic, who will have a personalized forecast for a lucky viewer. Well, it was on this day in 2009 the province of Ontario was dealing with a tornado outbreak. We'll have more on that with Michelle Mackey in a moment, but today dealing with storms where rain is the biggest concern. Look at this line from this Colorado low. This is your live radar. So many people have been dealing with significant rainfall through the morning hours. And this line you can see has made its way into the GTA. So along the QEW, portions of the 401 driving conditions have deteriorated. Luckily, it's happened after the bulk of the morning commute. The big problem with this system is, yes, there's widespread rainfall, but with these isolated severe pockets, we could get training storms, and that could equate to over 50 millimeters of rain or more for some areas. The hot spot for this potential is certainly Peterborough east toward the Ottawa Valley as we roll into the latter half of this day, and there are already severe thunderstorm watches in place for eastern Ontario, where we could see hail as well as strong gusty winds as well. Let's join Michelle Mackey now, though, with a look back to this day in history. Thanks for that, Michelle. A somber reminder of the power of Mother Nature. Already traveling into Quebec, where heat warnings still in place, feeling like the upper 30s, and the muggy conditions extend right through Atlantic Canada. Not so much for you in St. John's today, but your temperatures will increase into your day tomorrow. All right, with dry temperatures, we look at Vancouver now. We're in the north today. We do have some showers moving in, temps in the upper teens, and through the south, we are seeing some gustier winds. It's bad news where we're seeing smoky sky advisories in the Okanagan Valley and challenging for those battling wildfires. Okay, let's talk storms into the prairies. We have a low pressure system moving in overnight. So between Calgary and Red Deer, that's where we're going to see our heaviest downpours and temperatures pretty frigid, and we're even seeing the potential of some high elevation snowfall. That system moves into Saskatchewan for your Saturday and then becomes the story for northwestern Ontario into Sunday. Check out this. We're looking at an active end to the week with this Colorado low moving through Ontario, bringing significant rainfall, a storm for the prairies as well. Nicole Karkic has more. Thanks, Kelly. And over the summer during times of severe storms, I'm sure you have caught that sound. Krissy Vann joining you. We're going to start in Ontario as we do have this messy Colorado low, bringing bands of rain from the Niagara region all the way up to Moosonee. And the big threat with this system is the heavy downpours. Anywhere that you're seeing, and really just a line of those oranges and reds, is significant rainfall. Severe thunderstorm watches are in place through eastern Ontario. We could see torrential rains, some moderate hail, and strong gusty winds. But the big fear is training storms. So if you get repeatedly covered by these heavy downpours, then flash flooding is quite possible. So Environment Canada has issued special weather statements for the rainfall from Niagara heading up toward North Bay. You'll notice southwestern Ontario is excluded. After the lunch hour, this rain event really becomes a non-story for you, but our focus will shift Peterborough and east through the Ottawa Valley, where we are seeing those really potent cells of rain. And then as it continues eastward, we do see it kind of alleviate a little bit as it makes its way in toward Quebec. But certainly a soaker of a day. It's going to clear out by tomorrow. Temperatures will cool, but all said and done, a widespread 15 to 30 millimeters of rain. Some pockets having the risk of experiencing well over 50 mils. I personally have never had the chance to see them in person. It's on the bucket list for sure. Looking at the current radar through the prairies, we do have a couple bands of showers east of Saskatoon, some heavier downpours making their way toward Regina. We do have a risk of some storms developing today right along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. Can't rule out some isolated severe pockets within this. But your bigger storm event through Alberta, the prairies, is going to be as we head in through the latter half of your week. So even starting overnight, southern Alberta will be seeing some significant rainfall. Temperatures this afternoon, Calgary at 23, Regina still a touch of humidity, feeling like 27. But you'll see those humid conditions have made their exit this week. Winnipeg at 25. And feeling like 25. This afternoon in BC, we are looking at still some 30-degree temperatures in the interior. Vancouver at 22. And as we travel into the overnight, we will see some inland showers, and we do have the potential of some thunderstorms fueling up Prince George over through Revelstoke. All right, coming up, we'll keep a continued eye on the low-pressure systems across the country. Thanks, Deb. And we are still seeing smoky sky advisories in the Okanagan Valley. Krissy Vann with you with plenty of active weather. We've been seeing widespread rainfall making its way into Ontario. But the big threat in this thunderstorm risk map are those pockets of isolated severe cells that could bring locally heavier downpours. Look at the live radar and you can see bands of heavy rain extending from the Niagara region all the way north toward Moosonee. Hydro One now reporting multiple power outages with this system. Closer look and you can see that the QEW certainly seeing those heavy downpours, and then east along the 401 messy driving conditions. We are looking at severe thunderstorm watches also in place for eastern Ontario. You could see some hail, gusty winds, but again, the rain is the big problem, because if we start to get training storms, so one round of rain after another, localized flooding a concern, some areas calling for the potential of over 50 millimeters. Some good news on this map. We have seen some of the special weather statements for rainfall issued by Environment Canada drop off, still in place for the Niagara region and still in place east of the GTA and north up toward Barrie. And it was around Georgian Bay that I was seeing the majority of those power outages. Widespread 15 to 30 millimeters. And again, you will see some locally higher amounts of rain. As we head further toward the east, we are still looking at some heat warnings through eastern Ontario and into southern Quebec. Feeling like the upper 30s. It's also muggy in Atlantic Canada. That's where we catch up with Nathan Cole. Thanks for that, Nathan. Yeah, it's certainly hot and muggy through the Maritimes. I mean, Moncton feeling like 37. Not so the case in Newfoundland. St. John's just at 15. That changes tomorrow. Tomorrow's also when we see Labrador with a special weather statement for humidity. Into the prairies, we are seeing some scattered showers, a band of rain making its eastward track toward Regina. We do have the potential of some thunderstorm activity, particularly along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border, and we can't rule out some isolated severe cells. All right, coming up, we'll continue to break down the storm systems impacting the country. Thanks, Kelly. There you go. Do the chores kind of day, I suppose. Krissy Vann along with you. We are talking severe thunderstorm watches in place, Peterborough east through the Ottawa Valley. We could see some hail We could see the strong winds as well, but the bigger problem with these thunderstorms is going to be additional rainfall on top of what we're seeing right here along the cold front. Heavy rain extending from the Niagara region up north toward North Bay. We've been seeing some special weather statements as well. I know they're still in place for areas like the York-Durham region and Niagara region. And with these embedded thunderstorms in this Colorado low system, where you're seeing isolated severe, of course, the threat of strong winds and hail problematic, but it's the additional downpours. Some areas locally could exceed 50 millimeters or more. Watch what happens as we head in toward the evening hours. Or really after lunch, southwestern Ontario clears out, but it is that Ottawa Valley stretch that is quite concerning. And then as it makes its way in toward Quebec, it loses a little bit of steam, which is good news for residents there, because I know Montreal, you had a deluge midweek. Overall, though, a widespread 15 to 30 millimeters. I do want to mention with the storms we've been seeing along Georgian Bay, Hydro One reporting quite a few outages. So there are some relatively widespread power outages just in pockets of areas. Traveling over to the prairies, we do have the potential of seeing some thunderstorms fueling up along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. There are lots of people trying to beat the heat. As we look today, Vancouver 22 degrees, but in through the interior, we are looking at the 30-degree mark. And looking across the prairies this afternoon, well, Calgary just 23. You drop off to just barely the double digits to end your week. And then temperatures in the mid-20s for both Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. Coming up, we will have Arctic adventures unearthed. Don't miss it.